welcome to Homo Politicals on Enterprise Television. Kingsley Bassey is my name. Let's talk major happenings in the country. And yes, we're focused on one today. Well, besides politics and a lot happening, politics and some other trending matters in the country. Today, we'll talk protest. Well, protest demanding the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra. That happened yesterday, Monday, October 20, 2025. And these demonstrations led to clashes with security forces, and arrests happened in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, amid a widespread shutdown. Also in the southeastern part of the country. Yes, several southeastern states. This incident occurred, or several incidents occurred during the protest. First was a march led by activist Omoyele Sowore, and that was dispersed by security operatives using tear gas and, well, some say live bullets. The police denied that, saying no live ammunition was used. Several individuals were arrested in Abuja, including Kanu's brother, Emmanuel Kanu, and his lawyer, Aloy Ejimakor, who were later remanded in Kuje Prison. Images have since been posted by socials by Omoyele Sowore when he visited them, in that clip that has been circulated via social media platforms. It was said that they were told to write statements. Was it following that? By the way, economic and social activities were reportedly paralyzed in the southeastern states of Enugu, Ebonyi, Abia, Anambra, and Imo State as residents participated in the demonstrations, or some stayed indoors. Now, this has gained the attention of several organizations, international organizations. As a matter of fact, following reports of the use of tear gas and arrest happening, Amnesty International had released a statement calling for the release of this person's arrested, and even further saying that this is not good for democracy and that peaceful protests should be allowed in the country. I'm joined at this time by legal practitioner. He joins me virtually this morning to discuss this. He joins me today to discuss this and make sense of this protest by several Nigerians in the country, which happened again yesterday, Monday, October 20, 2025. Owolabi Okpeyemi joins me virtually. Many thanks for joining me, barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Okpeyemi, if you're there, can you hear me clearly? Many thanks for joining me. All right, there seems to be a connection challenge with Okpeyemi joining me right there. But yes, continuing the conversation, let's get talking to some more about this. There's been response from authorities in terms of that dispersal to Nigerian police and other security forces blocked major roads. That was the report that emerged. But the first public relations officer, Benjamin Udanya, has since said that these roads were blocked by the protesters, and what the police tried to do was disperse the crowd and ensure that there was smooth passage for commuters who weren't part of the protest. And yeah, some other protesters had alleged that the police used force too, and that led to the heavy traffic congestion scene. I think we're reconnected now with Owolabi Okpeyemi, barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Okpeyemi, many thanks for joining me. Yeah. Okpeyemi, are you there? Can you hear me clearly? Seemed like a little bit of a connection problem with Okpeyemi. Well, let's Can you
hear me,
Fantastic. I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Okay, very well. I didn't hear. I didn't. There was a momentary skirmish, so I didn't hear the last one. Right? I knew you were talking to me. It's fantastic. My pleasure to be here anyway. Good afternoon, Nigerians. Good afternoon, Bassey.
Many thanks.
Pleasure to be here once again.
Many thanks for joining me. Let me hear your thoughts. Let's know how you received the news of this protest yesterday. What you saw, reports emerging from the Federal Capital Territory precisely. We saw several activities too in some other parts of the country, the southeastern part of the country. But the Federal Capital Territory, where Omoyele Sowore led alongside Aloy Ejimakor, a lawyer and brother to Nnamdi Kanu, Emmanuel Kanu, alongside some other persons, led a protest in the Federal Capital Territory. What do you have to say about the handling by the police and indeed what was done by these protesters yesterday?
Yes. Every protester in Nigeria has the legitimate right to protest. It is a constitutional right, which is found under Section 39, right to freedom of expression. Then, together with right to assemble, freely assemble, under Section 40 of the 1999 Constitution. So, if people decided that, well, they wanted to protest as a result of some perceived high-handedness or violation of fundamental human rights of Nnamdi Kanu, right? They have that right as guaranteed to them by the Constitution. Nigeria is not the only country where people are protesting. People are protesting in almost every country in Europe. Even as I'm talking to you in the United States, people are protesting. So as long as it is a peaceful protest, right, people have the right to protest. That's number one. Now, number two, there was an incident, I think a day or two before the protest, I think probably last week Friday, where the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation obtained an order restraining anybody from protesting at certain places in the Federal Capital Territory. So now, that is usually done where the court sees that, well, there's likely to be a breakdown of law and order during the course of protest, and it is in the overriding interest of the public that the protest is not held in such places. In some instances like that, the court can issue another restraining people from protesting. But I'm quite sure that there is no blanket order that is restraining protesters from protesting in any part of Nigeria, any other part of Nigeria. Because protest, like I told you, is a fundamental right that has been given this judicial acknowledgement in the case of APB versus Inspector General of Police, that as a matter of fact, protesters do not need permit to protest. And at the same time, they did not need to see the consent of police to protest. In fact, during protest, it is the duty of police to provide security so that the protest is not hijacked by some unscrupulous elements. So, protest about the high-handedness by the protest of high-handedness by the perceived violation of the fundamental rights of Nnamdi Kanu by state security agents or by the federal government of Nigeria is quite in order, and it's not alien to the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic 1999 as amended. Thank you.
Well, let's dwell on that a little bit, because there are certain persons who believe that what's this protest supposed to do? This man is in court. Just last week or so, the court had ruled that, or the court had made a decision for the defense to open their case, having gotten a medical report from the Nigerian Medical Association, that Nnamdi Kanu is fit to stand trial and there is no threat whatsoever to his health. That was the report from the Nigerian Medical Association. Even though his lawyers had said, oh, well, his blood sample was not taken out, did you arrive at that medical report, deeming him fit to stand trial? But that's a conversation for later. Well, again, back to the crux of my question, some have said, what's this protest supposed to do? Do you agree with those who hold such sentiment, that this protest is supposed to do nothing, that since this matter is in court, they should just let the judicial proceedings take its course, or judicial process?
So, there are always objectives to protest. It is not, from my own perspective, this protest, even though the matter of the trial of Nnamdi Kanu is still in court, So even though there are reasons why some people have said there shouldn't be any protest, and again, there are objectives. It might have been that, well, they wanted to call the attention of the whole world and put pressure on the federal government from the international community by way of protest to the alleged or perceived high-handedness or violation of fundamental right to fair hearing of Nnamdi Kanu. Perhaps they wanted to show to the world that the system has conspired against Nnamdi Kanu for several reasons and by way of several instances. Perhaps they wanted to put pressure on the government and show to the world that Nnamdi Kanu, based on his head, desires to be granted pay. Although the charges before him does not entitle him to pay, they might want to call the attention of the whole world to the fact that the trial that is going on against Nnamdi Kanu and the latest report of the Nigerian Medical Association as to the fitness or otherwise of Nnamdi Kanu to continue to start trial is a shenanigan or not. So there could be several reasons why that is. I know protest is a form of lobby, and some people it's also a political mechanism. Many people may not understand that protest is a form of political mechanism, and this is not only happening in Nigeria. In US, it happens. If you watch some American movies, you read CNN. The Supreme Court want to deliver judgment right in front of the court, within the court premises. You see different people with placards, right? Because they believe that public interest is very important in matters that affect the welfare of every citizen of that country. So, like I told you, it doesn't matter what the interest might be. The most important thing is that these people protesting, they have a fundamental right to protest, which is guaranteed by the Constitution. Then again, protest is form of democratic exercise, which must be encouraged during our democratic experience. It is only if it were during military rule, the protests of yesterday would not have held, apparently. But because we're in a democratic rule, people can hear their opinions, irrespective of what happens, right? Even in respect of matters that are ongoing in court, to a reasonable extent. So, whatever the objective might have been, it doesn't change the fact that the people that are protesting, they have a fundamental right to protest. They have reasons why they are protesting, some of which I've discussed. So, and the protest went global, right? And again, some people protest for propaganda reasons. Some people will argue that this is probably a propaganda protest, right? To put the Nigerian judiciary in the spotlight, to put the federal government in the spotlight, to ensure that the international human rights community place a searchlight on the ongoing trial of Nnamdi Kanu and a lot of other things. In fact, one of the reasons why they said, the organizing protest was actually because they said severally the federal government has denied Nnamdi Kanu bail on serious medical ground, right? The matter reached the crescendo when the Nigerian Medical Association, right, they set up a panel pursuant to another of the court to ensure that they determine whether Nnamdi Kanu, given his current state of health, can continue to stand trial or not. And of course, the report stated otherwise, said that, well, Nnamdi Kanu is fit. Apparently, that is the last that's last jigsaw from the Nnamdi Kanu's car, which perhaps must have made them to go into protesting against the system. So whatever the reasons might be, there is a protest which is valid.
Stick to the legal process a little bit. Well, presidential spokesperson Bayo Ononuga did during the protest, or maybe moments after the protest yesterday, make the tweet calling for some sanction by the body. I think that would be the disciplinary committee in charge of lawyers, that there should be some sanction on Aloy Ejimakor, the lawyer on the legal representation team for Nnamdi Kanu, was part of the protest. Is that the thing? Did the lawyer do wrong to be part of the protest? Does that mean sub judice being part of a team, knowing that, and with his knowledge of the law, knowing that, this matter is in court, he's supposed to be working to open defense for his clients, but he was there on the street protesting. What does the law say about this? You might want to provide some clarity to this.
Okay, yes. So I understand the issue. The issue is that because Ejimakor is a lawyer to Nnamdi Kanu, who has been appearing in the matter involving him, and that it will amount to contempt of court outside court by way of protest, right? Contrary to the provisions of the legal practitioners' rules of professional conduct 2023. Now there's a thin line, right? There's a thin line. Don't forget that Ejimakor is occupying dual capacities, both as a lawyer to Nnamdi Kanu and as a Nigerian who has the right to protest. Then even as a lawyer is entitled to protest. Now, what I want us to clarify is this: the protest yesterday was not against the judiciary. If it was directly targeted at the judiciary, clear case of contempt of court, right, and breach of professional conduct by Ejimakor. But it was not a case of protest directed at the judiciary, even though some people might want to say remotely judiciary will be under pressure, right? It was a case targeted at the executive arm of government, because they are the one prosecuting Nnamdi Kanu in court, before the court.
Yeah, but the matter is in court, and so knowing that the matter is in court, shouldn't you let the court process go through? That's what some persons have been saying. That's what Bayo Ononuga said.
There is no provision of the rules of professional conduct that says that a lawyer cannot protest when he's handling the matter. I have seen my colleagues, so many of my colleagues, that when their matter was in court and they perceive that the other party that they are appearing against, they are taking some funny steps, they call the attention of the media. It is not, as long as it is not directed and it is not intended to interfere with the administration of justice in that matter, right? It can't amount to contempt of court and it can't amount to breach of professional conduct, right? If it is targeted at the federal government of Nigeria, if the federal government of Nigeria are doing some things behind the scene, right, they have a right to go to organize and protest about it, right? So I said it's a thin line. To an ordinary mind, it will appear as the content and breach of professional conduct, but to a more discerning mind, it is not. Right? It is not. So the fact that handling that matter does not mean that if there are shenanigans involved in the executive arm of government, it cannot protest about it. It can protest about it. Lawyers do these things over and over again, and there has never been any time any lawyer has been subjected to the professional disciplinary action on the basis of this.
All right, the same.
Right? Ordinarily, if I were him, I wouldn't have done that. But that is my personal predilection. But for him to have done that, it doesn't still show that, it doesn't still establish the fact that he has committed the content. He has not committed any content.
The same lawyer, Aloy Ejimakor, was arrested alongside Nnamdi Kanu's brother, Emmanuel Kanu. To cite that there were reports of tear gas canisters fired at protesters. In fact, some protesters said that live ammunition were used, fired at them during the protest. We saw Sowore running to take cover. We saw some other protesters running to take cover at some point. But the police public relations Professor Benjamin Udenya has since said no live ammunition was used, that what was used were, professional procedures, standard procedures to disperse the protesters. Let's talk about this alleged human rights abuses yesterday. What can you say about that from a legal point of view? I know at the start of the conversation, your opening comment was about peaceful protest and the fact that governments must allow peaceful protesters to assemble as they saw fit and ensure that that is not hijacked. But what do you say about the use of tear gas canisters when there was no case of reported violence. Though the police again said that they were approaching these places, these locations restricted by the court order. I'm talking the Villa, the National Assembly complex, and the rest. What do you say, Okpeyemi? Okpeyemi, are you there? Oh dear, another network glitch. Hopefully we can reconnect with Okpeyemi Wolabi, my guest today, who's the barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, as we continue to discuss the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu protest, which happened yesterday. By the way, on a lighter note, this protest happened, maybe not light really, this protest happened on the same day when lots of Nigerians too remembered the very famous Lekki toll gate incident of October 2020, and it's been 5 years since that happened. Well, that too was on the front burner. Okpeyemi, are you there? If you're reconnected, if you can hear me clearly, you can jump back to the conversation. Let's conclude as we begin to close. Well, I was just talking about the fact that the 5 years memorial of the hashtag and bad governance protest of 2020 was marked yesterday too, alongside this hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu protest in the Federal Capital Territory. And maybe this is the lighter part. Maybe October 20 should be declared National Protest Day. And so government, doesn't matter what political party is in power, recognizes that day and allows people to protest peacefully. Well, let's leave things there. Sadly, connection problems, connection challenges with the conversation, getting Okpeyemi to conclude his thoughts on this. Well, you can stop by the comment section. Let me know what you think of that protest, right? We'll continue to monitor development and bring this your way here on Enterprise Television. In the meantime, stop by the comment section as mentioned. Let me know what you think of the protest. Let me know what you think of this alleged human rights abuses by the police yesterday. Again, there were clarifications made by the Nigeria Police Force through the Force Public Relations Officer Benjamin Hundeyin, fresh from the Lagos Police Command, resuming duty there.
I had
no troubles. Thankfully, you are back as we wrap the conversation. I was just talking about the alleged human rights abuses, the use of tear gas canisters and the rest on protesters. What do you have to say? Okpeyemi, can you hear me clearly?
Yeah. So the use of tear gas canisters by the police to disperse protesters.
Yes.
So there are laws that govern use of light arms during protest, so to say. So, but I can tell you for free that in this part of the world, the police will never comply with those procedures. There are procedures before you can use tear gas canisters to disperse protesters. Was there an attempt to become violent? Was there a threat of public peace? Was the public march by the protesters violent in nature? Or was there a fracas? Was there a situation whereby there was conflict, right, amongst the protesters that warrant a breach of public peace and order? I am not sure there have been any instances of this, right, to warrant the use of tear gas canisters. So, but I understand the state, on the other hand, perhaps want to ensure that, okay, nobody is going to hold the FCT to ransom. And the best way, perhaps, to ensure that the protest does not go on, because they don't want protest, that's quite clear. And perhaps they thought that the best way to stop the protest would be to use some light arms, such as the tear gas canisters fired at them to disperse them. So, perhaps that must have been the reason why, which does not justify that they are supposed to be violent, except there's a threat of violence in protest. Protest is a way of public expression.
Yeah, Benjamin Hundeyin had said that they were beginning to move towards locations they were not supposed to get to, going by the court order restricting them from certain locations like the Villa, the National Assembly complex. Is that enough reasons to use that and disperse them?
Well, police will say anything. So there is rule of proportionality, right? If there was a court order that asked them not to go to the Aso Villa, that's number one. Then number two, if they were marching towards Aso Villa, right? Then number three, if police tried every peaceful attempt, because that's the question we must ask. Did the police try every peaceful attempt, every diplomatic attempt to ensure that they should dissuade them from going to the Aso Rock to go and protest? If police did, and it became that the only option available was to use tear gas canister to disperse protesters from going into Aso Villa, well and good. But if not, you can't, like I said, you can't use tear gas canisters as the first attempt or the second attempt, not even the third attempt. It has to be the last of the resource. In fact, the list of the last resource. So if indeed police can actually prove, right, or satisfy that they dissuaded these people, right, they did not fire at them because they were marching, just fire them just because they were marching to Aso Villa, they may be justified. But if not, well, it might be excessive. That use of tear gas canister might be excessive. Really, it might be excessive. It might not be proportionate to what is required under the Africa Charter on Human and People's Rights and its general comment and international Bill of Rights. But again, it is what it is. The interest of the state interest in many occasions will trounce individual interest. So probably, if we should put it into context, we can argue that it's justified. But it has to pass three tests of necessity, proportionality, and legality. So, but they haven't shown the legality. They haven't shown. Okay, they have shown the legality, right? They have shown the necessity, the proportionality. Whether it's that, they haven't shown that, right? So that is why I said it was not necessary. So I didn't mean they could show that. Why not? So be it.
All right, we'll just leave things there. We've been talking about this protest which happened yesterday, the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu protest led by human rights activists Omoyele Sowore. I've been joined today by barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, Yokpemi. Any final thoughts as we close? Well, Sowore has promised that there would be another date announced for another protest. He says that would be the month of all protest. We've heard such the promise in the past. What do you have to say? Should this protest continue? Should there be some other way to engage government regarding this? As a matter of fact, some persons have now said that it is not just the federal government, it's not the president holding Nnamdi Kanu back and stopping the process of his release, but that some southeastern governors too they've not done what they need to do regarding this. What's your take? Should this protest continue? Should by the way, do you think that this protest achieved its purpose yesterday? As we close.
Yeah, I must tell you that the protest achieved its purpose. The purpose was not, I can tell you for free, that the purpose was not to ensure that the government immediately releases Nnamdi Kanu. That was not the purpose, right? That was not the purpose of the protest was to draw international community attention to what is going on in the trial of Nnamdi Kanu. As far as I am concerned, that process has been achieved. And having achieved the purpose of that particular protest, my admonition to protesters is go and sit down, go and re-strategize, go back to court. Let's see it out. Let court decide one way or the other. Because it is a matter that has been prolonged for too long, probably 4 plus 5, about 9 years now, right? 10 years. Right, so we want to see the end of it, so to say. If indeed Nnamdi Kanu is guilty of what they're charging for, then of course the evidence will be produced, and the court is going to convict him. That's in the overriding public interest. Fantastic. If Nnamdi Kanu is not guilty of it, or he never did any of those things he's alleged of doing, then definitely the court is going to absolve him of all the charges, and the court is going to discharge and acquit him. So see the legal process. And some people are talking about who are talking about, well, why don't you consider him for amnesty or prerogative of mercy by the presidency? Like I told you, for every reason there are always political undertones. I won't say more than that for now. Thank you.
We do know that clemency cannot come, or this prerogative of mercy cannot come until court of competent jurisdiction has ruled on a particular matter, maybe convicting an accused person. Oh well, by me, Olabi, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me today in Homo Politicos. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Basi. It's my pleasure. I hope you to be here some other day and some other time. Thank you.
I hope to see more of you on the program as well. Well, that's Homo Politicos today. We've been talking the protest. Stop by the comment section. Let's get talking there. Don't be reading and watching and responding as well. Until next time, we'll say may God continue to bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Keep watching Enterprise Television. Kingsley Bass is my name. Bye for now.